The Galactic Council had been at war with the Void Dominion for 17 cycles. Billions had perished across thousands of worlds. Advanced civilizations that had stood for millennia crumbled beneath the relentless assault of the Dominion's shadow fleets. The Council, once comprising over 300 species, now barely maintained 40 functional battle groups. Commander Trell, a veteran Arcturian with scales, dulled from stress, stared at the tactical display. Another system lost, another retreat ordered. "We cannot continue like this," he muttered to his second-in-command, a four-armed Proximan named Vel. "The Dominion advances faster than we can evacuate colonies." Vel's compound eyes flickered with resignation. "The Council meets today to discuss options." Options. The word hung in the recycled air of the command center like a death sentence. Everyone knew what it meant: surrender terms. Across the galaxy, in a dimly lit council chamber, representatives of the remaining allied species gathered. Grand Admiral Oros, a luminescent being from a water world called Nith, addressed the solemn assembly. "The 15th Fleet has fallen. The Dominion now controls the Cygnus Arm entirely." Oros's voice rippled through the translators. "We have one remaining option that this council has been reluctant to consider." A murmur spread through the chamber. "Preposterous," said Ambassador Lix, his insectoid mandibles clicking. "They are too primitive, too violent. We classified them as a quarantined species for good reason." "They are our last hope," countered Oros. "We have observed them for centuries. Yes, they are frightening. Perhaps that is precisely what we need." The council debated for hours. Fear versus desperation, ethics versus extinction. Eventually, a vote was held. The result, 23-17 in favor of contact. Earth, despite its technological inferiority, had been deliberately isolated by the Galactic Council due to one simple fact: humans terrified the other sentient species. Not because of their technology, which was laughably primitive, but because of their nature. Humans had evolved on a Dith world, a planet so hostile that most Council species required environmental suits just to walk its surface. Humans endured pain, recovered from injuries that would kill others, and possessed a capacity for violence that horrified the largely peaceful galactic community. They had a peculiar psychological trait rarely seen in the cosmos. Humans got angry when others were threatened. Not just their own kind, but any being they decided deserved protection. The diplomatic vessel approached Earth cautiously. First contact protocols were enacted, and within Earth days, human leaders had been briefed on the galactic situation. Major Tom Richards scratched his head as the alien delegation concluded their presentation. "Let me get this straight. You've been at war for nearly 2 decades, you're losing badly, and now you want our help. Despite the fact that you've been deliberately keeping us in the dark about the existence of galactic civilization." Ambassador Oros's translator hummed. "That is essentially correct, Major Richards." Tom laughed, a sound that made several delegates flinch. "And what exactly can we offer? You've shown us your technology. Our most advanced weapons would be considered antiques by your standards." "It is not your weapons we seek," Oros replied. "It is your approach to warfare." 3 months later, the first human military advisors arrived at the front lines. Tom led a team of 30 specialists, veterans from various Earth conflicts, strategists, and psychological warfare experts. The Council forces watched with a mixture of fascination and horror as the humans reviewed battle footage and tactical data. The humans didn't react with appropriate dread or resignation. Instead, they exhibited behaviors that disturbed their allies. They became animated, excited even. "You're fighting according to mathematical models of efficient resource allocation," plained Tom to the bewildered alien commanders. "The Dominion predicts your movements because you're being logical. War isn't logical. War is chaos." The humans introduced concepts that seemed insane to the Council forces: feigned retreats, guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare, and most disturbingly, bluffing, making the enemy believe you had strength you didn't possess. "But that's deception," protested Commander Trell. "Exactly," Tom replied with a grin that revealed too many teeth. "All warfare is based on deception." The first battle under human advisement shocked both sides. Council forces abandoned their elegant symmetrical formations in favor of what appeared to be random, haphazard deployments. They struck vulnerable supply lines rather than meeting the enemy head-on. They used modified civilian vessels as explosive traps. The Dominion, faced with an opponent that suddenly refused to follow predictable patterns, faltered. Word spread through Dominion ranks about the Council's new advisors. Stories of the strange endoskeletal bipeds who fought with unpredictable savagery, who seemed to enjoy combat, who used psychological tactics designed not just to defeat, but to frighten. 6 months after human involvement began, the Council forces had reclaimed 3 star systems. A year later, they had pushed the Dominion back to their pre-war borders. Admiral Orcs watched the tactical display with a mixture of hope and unease. The humans had delivered as promised. The war was turning. But the methods, the sheer brutality of their approach. They fight like the Dominion. Vel observed quietly, except worse, because they seemed to take pleasure in it. Tom, overhearing, shrugged. We fight to win, not to look elegant doing it. The Dominion started this war. We're just showing them the consequences of picking a fight. The Council never expected the psychological impact of human warfare. The Dominion, accustomed to the predictable, honorable tactics of the Council, broke under the strain of facing an enemy that employed deception, misdirection, and psychological terror as primary weapons. When the Dominion finally sued for peace, their envoy had a single condition: the removal of humans from Council space once the treaty was signed. As the human advisors prepared to return to Earth, Admiral Orcs approached Tom with a question that had bothered him since the beginning. Your species fought with such intensity. Did you truly care about our cause, our people? Tom smiled, a gentler expression than usual. You came to us for help. That made you our allies. And humans protect their allies. He paused. But honestly, Admiral, pray, you never become our enemy. The Council maintained diplomatic relations with Earth after the war, but the isolation policy was quietly reinstated. The galaxy had witnessed what happened when humans joined a war, and everyone, friend and foe alike, had cowered in fear.